are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no short, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
We are live on the New York Knicks podcast. This week's episode is going to be a little bit different because Jay, who has been on every episode of the show, is not on this week. He is in, I think he's been on almost every episode. He is currently in Thailand visiting family. And here with me, this is Marc, and here with me is cousin Jay. We're going to talk lots of Knicks. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing quite well. Thanks for the invite. This should be a lot of fun.
This should be a lot of fun.
This is number 2.
This is number 2. Number 2 what?
Episode number 2.
Episode number 2 with cousin Jay.
With cousin Jay, right? Exactly.
Yes, Jay was on a while back. If you had the video of that, Jay was in a hot tub recording the episode with us. It was kind of awesome. It was from last season, I think, when Jay was awesome, but the Knicks were not awesome. But this season, the Knicks are going to be awesome.
Yeah, it should be.
I want to start the show off by giving Jay some credit. Now, this goes back a little bit, but leading into last season, the Knicks had made an interesting move in point guard. They had gotten Kemba Walker. And the theory that I had bought into was that the combination of Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker was going to be awesome. I said Kemba Walker is not healthy enough to play like 35, 40 minutes, but if Kemba can play 20, 25 minutes, Derrick Rose 20 minutes, this team is going to be awesome. And then cousin Jay said to me, and this is before the season started, this is when everyone else was on the hype train, the Kemba hype train. Jay was like, isn't Kemba washed up? Why'd they get Kemba? I thought he's like done. And I was like, no, Jay, you're wrong. Kemba's going to be awesome, reduced minutes, everything's going to be great. Anyway, Jay, do you want to take a bow?
Oh, well, let me stand up and let me do that. We're not on Twitch this time, so we can't see me taking a bow or me in the hot tub with my hairy chest. But, hey, I appreciate the pat on the back. Don't forget Kemba postseason before that, he couldn't play. He actually couldn't, there was some huge games that he couldn't play in. And, what the Knicks did, the Knicks went in and scooped him up. Yeah,
I mean, the Celtics said they couldn't play him. They traded to OKC and they dumped his salary. OKC said, we'll just pay you not to be here. And the Knicks made like a whole homecoming video for Kemba, being like, this is the greatest thing ever. We got OKC, who has no one on their team, basically was like, we don't want him anymore. And the Knicks are like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Right. And they literally paid him not to be there. And the Knicks scooped him up and said, well, we might be able to put some asses in the seats. And, true to form, that's what they did. And here we are. But, not to mention Derrick Rose not being able to play at all either, which didn't help.
Yeah. The Knicks...
I just thought they slowed things down. I mean, I thought, I know you're not the biggest Alfred Payton guy. We've discussed him many times. And I just thought that, it just seemed like they're just slowing things down to put Fournier and to put Walker out, Kemba out there, at this stage in his career. And it really showed, we were a much slower team last year.
I think they were, in fairness, I think they were pretty slow the year before when they won a bunch of games. And I think last year they were pretty slow also. But either way, how happy
slower.
are, yeah, they're
Rose.
Yeah. Either way, how happy are you that we have a much better starting point guard now? How do you feel about Jalen Brunson?
I'm a fan. I like Jalen Brunson. I think he brings some solid, hard-nosed consistency in day in and day out. Should be. And I think we're in a better position than we were in terms of distribution, in terms of Randall not having to, run point forward and, have the ball in his hands for, 30, 35 minutes a game. Things should definitely level out, and those guys, should get more touches and better positions. And, that's what it's all about. Obviously it's yet to be seen. Last night was, look, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I
Well,
was happy, and I saw the preseason games. I was happy with that. So yeah, I think he's gonna he's gonna be like the rug to tie the room together.
yeah. Big Lebowski reference. Let me ask you. We'll get into the Nick game in a moment. Let me ask you. Just finish this sentence. And this is not to get too far ahead of ourselves with Brunson, but I am pretty excited about him. Jalen Brunson is the best Knicks point guard since.
Wow.
Been a lot of crap here. I mean, we've had seasons where Ramon Sessions is our starting point guard, where Jarrett Jack is our starting point guard.
Oh, yeah.
Kemba, Elfrid Payton. We've had a lot of crap.
Yeah, what was that guy from? The guy from Toronto. That he was supposed to be
Calderon.
Yeah. Jose Calderon, right?
When he came here, he had got to the point in his career where he was ready to be a backup, and Phil was like, "No, you're starting." He's like, "I don't really want to start, but okay."
The triangle. Yeah, he got thrown into the triangle, and it just destroyed his entire offensive head. And I'd say I was excited when they got him originally, thinking that because you have to think back years even before him since we've had somebody with any consistency. But yeah, that's an interesting question. Look, I'll take it. I'll take Brunson as he is, and we'll see where it goes. If he could hit some shots, and we still need him to score, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are so hungry for a point guard, basically, that Jeremy Lin played 12 good games, and we still talk about it like it was the greatest era ever.
Yep, and they still show the special on MSG every twice a week.
It's unbelievable. I would finish. I guess I would say because Jeremy Lin was good for a very short period of time. I would say that Jalen Brunson, at least my hope is, he's the best Knicks point guard since Thin Felton.
Raymond.
The first Felton, when he came here with Amari before the Carmelo trade, he looked goddamn good. When he came back, he was a little overweight and really wasn't very good. But the first version of him with the Knicks was a pretty good player.
The first. I would agree. I mean, actually, Lynn came to mind too. It's funny you mentioned him, but it just goes to show you, right? As short-lived as that was, how poor we've been at the one.
Yeah, and I just from the. I watched him some in Dallas last year, but I can't say outside the playoffs I watched him that much. He looked good in the playoffs. And since the preseason and just like game one, he looks like a guy who knows how to he knows how to set up the offense. He can drive. He can get into the paint. He's crafty. He seems tough. On defense, I was worried about his size, but he seems to be able to he's not like he's going to be the best defender ever, but he's good about being in the right position and staying in front of his guy as much as he can.
Definitely, and like you said, he's tough. So on defense, he could definitely hold his own. Oh, Doc Rivers comes to mind. By the way.
That's a good one also. And it's going far back, but yeah, he seems like the Knicks. The '90s Knicks were a very tough team, and Brunson feels like the kind of point guard they would have had.
Right, exactly. Guy. Doc Rivers is the last decent point guard the Knicks have had, but
Derek Harper wasn't bad. It's a very terrible history.
Rolando Blackman was sort of like a 2, but he sort of played point guard a bunch of the time. But yes, I think, I mean, he definitely seems like he's not going to, even though he's undersized, maybe height wise, Brunson, I don't think he's going to be, pushed around too much. The Knicks could either play small or they could play big. Last night, they kind of played small because of, they played a competition. They kind of had to. Bane and Ja are, might be the best backcourt in the NBA. They're up there in my mind, especially at this point in Bane's career. Although last night he didn't have such a great showing. How did he do last night, Bane? I didn't even look at the.
No, he didn't shoot that well. I mean, I'm looking at the box score. He was 6 for 22. He had RJ-like numbers last night.
Yikes! Yeah, RJ. Yeah, he took a lot of shots, but he's going to score a lot of points this year. So
I mean, first off, so they lost to Memphis. It was a great Memphis. Memphis is probably a top 4 team in the NBA right now. I think they had the second best record in the NBA last year. This was, even though they lost, it was a great showing. They were down a lot in the first half. You thought this was going to get midway, middle into the like 5 minutes in the third quarter, you were like, this is where we are. This is gonna be a crap first game. I was like, I'm gonna do the podcast with Jay, and it's gonna just be a sucky podcast because the Knicks just looked like they came out and just like they crapped the bed in game one. And then you were like, wait, the score's getting closer. Wait, are the Knicks gonna tie this up? Are we gonna go to? And then when Cam hit that shot, that three to tie the game, I was like out of my mind. Frustrating they lost the game, but it was a hell of a game.
Yeah, that was a cool shot. That was a really nicely run play with the double screen, and he came across the entire baseline, and that was a great play. Cam, he just seems like am I allowed to say dick? He seems like a jerk. He seems.
You're insulting. Cam had the best game he's ever had for the Knicks, and you're like, he's kind of a dick.
He just seems like such a jerk. I don't know what it is. He just seems like a total, like, he's just, I don't know. Look, I'll take it. I'll take the shot. It's just whatever. I mean, and then how about the end there when I think they gave us, I think the ref
kind of screwed us.
Which oddly, so this is kind of an interesting story. So the ref went to my alma mater high school in Brooklyn, which is Midwood High School. They've been talking about this a lot. And actually my buddy who I co-managed a baseball game with last night, one of my kids, is really close with this guy, the ref that made that call, like the head ref last night.
Wait, which the call, the foul, the non-call on Brunson when John Morant hit him in the head and goaltended at the same time?
Well, yeah, that one. So that was in overtime. Right?
Yeah.
So that was that.
Oh, you
that
mean
call,
the charge call?
Well, actually both. So I think that the charge was legitimately a charge, but I think Brunson legitimately drew that charge towards the end of regulation there. But I think what happened was in overtime was maybe they were giving him that back. Maybe he thought that he was a little bit generous in calling it a charge, that it should have been a block. And so I think that's why he didn't call a foul on Ja when Ja clearly just mutilated Brunson right down the lane, like towards the basket. That was a terrible call. What a terrible non-call. They kept showing that over and over. It's like, you didn't even have to show it once. We saw it,
So a couple things on that. So So first, the charge at the end of the game. So first, I have it's very rare that on the last play of a game you'll see an offensive foul. It has to be as blatant as possible, and that was as blatant a charge as you can get. Like it happened, you were like, before the ref called it, you were like, they kind of have to call a charge there. That was so blatant.
He stood his ground. He got position. He was stopped. Yeah, absolutely. It was a charge on 100%. It was a great play by Brunson.
So I learned something last night, which I did not know, because the Knicks were in the penalty. And so I was like, they're in the penalty. He got the foul. I'm like, Brunson's going to go to the line now and shoot two. I did not realize that offensive fouls don't count against the penalty.
Yep. It's got to be, you have to be on offense in order to capitalize being in the penalty.
I was like, oh my God, he's going to shoot free throws. And it's like, oh, that's not the rule. I can't believe I didn't know that.
Yeah, that would have been some swing. Imagine that if he got to shoot free throws.
Yeah.
That was so egregious. I mean, that was unreal. That I can't even believe it was like up for debate. I mean, he stood his ground. He was outside the cylinder.
So apparently, Ja after the game. I don't have the quote here, but basically paraphrasing it, that he said that was a block. And he said that Brunson after the game said to him it was a block, which is, there's no way Brunson said that to him. But
why would he do that unless he's just trying to upset him?
I don't know.
Trying to engage him.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Ja, I have to say, Ja's not a fun player to root against. He is kind of one of the more fun players to watch in the NBA. It's like rooting against. He's not Steph Curry level, but Steph Curry, it's terrible to root against him because he's just really fun to watch. And Ja's getting to that point where he's just kind of fun to watch. You hate when you play with it. You hate to root against him when you're playing him because he just does really cool stuff on the court.
Yeah, he's an amazing showman. He's I mean that no look when he had that behind the back fake and then he had that dish. I mean, yeah, he's an awesome player. I mean, he's definitely fun to watch, but Yeah, I mean, I'm not pulling for him at any point, but
No. if I'm watching TNT, it's the Memphis Grizzlies versus whomever.
right.
Be fun. I'm very happy to watch that. But against the Knicks, I obviously want to see Morant lose, and I would like my number 3 pick to be better than the number 2 pick in that draft. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I don't
The
know.
other
That's
thing, I say the first of all, he crushed Brunson on that on the breakaway, and he won. I think maybe because it looked like such a cool block, that maybe the refs didn't call because of that. Like they didn't want to. I don't know why they didn't. It was both a foul and it was like I didn't even realize right away that it was goal. I had to watch the replay to realize it was also goaltending.
I think because it was, it looked like it was goal time. I think because it was such a big towards the end of regulation that offensive foul call was such a big call. It's almost like in baseball. When they give a guy, they call a borderline pitch a ball.
Right.
The next borderline pitch is a strike, even if it's like a couple inches off the plate. They're just giving it back to him. I think that's where my head went while I was watching that.
But then they had Ja on the other end. He had 2 foul calls on him, 2 and 1s basically against Hardenstein, where Hart just put his arm out to kind of. I mean, he shouldn't have like reached in, but it was not clear on either play if Hart even touched Ja, and they called the foul.
Yeah, little ticky tack. Yeah,
Like-
he's kind of wild with his arms, Hart.
Yeah.
He seems like he's flan. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's got game. I just think he's a little bit of a flailer,
Yeah, I mean, I thought Hart played really well. We can get to him, but it was just like you're not going to call the basically he slams into Brunson on one end, and then like this little ticky tack thing. Like the second one, I forget if it was Van Gundy or who said it on the broadcast. They're like, did Hart even touch him? Oh well, he's shooting free throws. They're like, it was was ridiculous.
He's also Ja, I mean, he gets those calls, but yeah. It just seemed, it was a shame that they were getting those calls at the end after we fought back so hard, as hard as we did. And, just kind of, the comeback that we mounted was awesome. Hey man, we're on the road against, like you said, a top 5 team in the NBA. We come back, we send it to overtime and, we lose by what we lost by a couple points. So it's, it could have been a lot worse.
So last year we had that double overtime victory against the Celtics. We were like, oh my God, the Knicks are amazing. And then it was a pretty disappointing season. So I don't want to read too much into the first game of the season. Right. But I feel like overall I have more positive takeaways than negatives from me. There was obviously both in the game, but I feel like I have more positive in the game than negatives.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of takeaways. I mean, I'm kind of, yeah. I mean, definitely more positive than negative. Absolutely. What would you grade him if you could grade him on last night's game?
Grade the individual players or the team?
The team.
I think it was a solid. You're counting the fact that you're going against like one of the best teams in the NBA. I'd give it a B. B to B plus borderline.
I would give it a B also. B. I would say, yeah. If it was at home, if we were at home, I'd say B minus. On the road, I'd say B plus.
I like the fight. There were a couple guys that played really well. I mean, Cam obviously was really good. Hardenstein really stepped up. Brunson, while didn't have like the perfect numbers, looked pretty good. Randall, as much as everyone wanted to trade Randall, so I gotta actually say, I'm gonna apologize for Randall. In the off season, I said, I don't know how often cousin Jay listens to the show, but I said to our
I've listened once.
I said to our regular co-host Jay that I was making the case that like Randall, it's just not going to work out. And Obi's looked really good, especially at the end of the last season. We need to start Obi. We need to move Randall. Randall's got to go. Like it just doesn't make sense anymore. This is stupid. Blah 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 blah. I know it's over. I'm overreacting to say this after game 1, but I apologize, Randall. Randall looked really good, and not only Randall looked really good, Obi looks nowhere close to being able to start.
You know what's funny?
What?
I thought you were gonna say to me, you know what? You're right. From 2 years ago when I think we podcast, and you're like, I was like, look, Randall's having a great season. We can't throw the farm at him. He's not a max guy, and you're fighting me. What makes you say you can't stand Randall? How come you can't stand Randall? But he
Yeah,
actually
you
went
know what?
the other direction. He actually gave him credit for his game last night, which was a great game last night. But
He played well. So first, the show is just going to be a series of apologies to Jay for all Jay's like. I mean, like cousin Jay, go back. He was right about everything, and I admit I've been wrong about a lot of things. I guess.
look, here's the thing. All right, so Obi, it seemed like Obi didn't play last night. How many minutes did Obi play last
Obi
night?
played 13 minutes, and he was terrible in those 13 minutes.
Think about that. So Obi played 13 minutes last night. All right, obviously preseason's preseason, but what a monster preseason he had, right? I mean, running the floor, he looked like between the legs, doing cartwheels, whatnot, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And then he plays 13 minutes. I mean, it seemed like he played less than that actually, but I don't know. I didn't understand that. I mean, I get that they're a small team, Memphis, especially. It seemed like they played their big guys like not much. Like Adams didn't seem like he played a lot, and they had
Adams played a lot.
did he? It didn't seem like he made much of an impact.
Adams was pretty good on the offensive board. He seemed like he was getting every rebound basically.
Adams is a monster offensive.
He's a monster. Yeah.
He's a crazy offensive rebounder. But look, I mean, Randall, we'll see what happens. He obviously he's capable. We've seen it. Which Randall are we going to get? I think a lot of our season comes down to that. And obviously RJ, is he going to shoot as many shots as he took last year? Probably. Is he going to make more? Hopefully. That's really what this comes down to. It comes down to Randall and it comes down to RJ and obviously, Brunson. And, if Obi could average, 20, 22 a game, 22 minutes, minutes a game, that'd be kind of cool. I think I agreed with you when you said it, when you said that Obi should be playing more. I mean, who didn't say that,
Yeah, I think Obi, so first, it's funny how little preseason, actually matters in the sense of Obi looked awesome in preseason, barely could play last night. Cam Reddish looked like he should be out of the league in preseason, lights it up on game one. I also feel Cam's a bit of fool's gold, and I hope he really works out. But
did you notice Cam ditched the headband? It seemed like it seemed like he ditched. I was thinking maybe it was the headband
that was holding him back.
The headband was keeping him down. The weight of the headband was, he wasn't able to hit any shots or do anything.
He's like Tibbs. I just feel like there's a lot of pressure on my head. And he's like, no, not metaphorically. Like I feel like I've actually just removed the head. Oh my god, the width.
I noticed that as the game started. I'm like, where's Cam's headband? What the hell?
So By the way, you said Cam was kind of a dick. So you know the whole Cam story, or the basics of what I understand from leaving Atlanta. He was getting 20 minutes a night in Atlanta. He was doing sometimes playing well, sometimes not. The fans, there were a lot of diehard Cam fans in Atlanta, very disappointed that they traded him. But basically, he came to the front office and was like, I want to be the star player in this team. If I can't be if I can't get 35 minutes a night, you need to trade me. He's on a team with Trae Young, and he's like, I need the ball more than Trae.
Right. Wow.
And so they were like, yeah, you're out of your mind, so we'll trade you. And then he gets to the Knicks, he barely could get on the court, but he has the belief that he can be an all-star, which he hasn't. Last night he looked pretty good, but it's been very rare that he's shown this all-star ability. But he has no lack of ego, at least. He thinks he could be there.
There you go. I mean, you love the confidence. I hadn't heard that. I mean, you love the confidence, but at the same, look, I mean, the guy is a great college basketball player, and that's what he's proven thus far, right? So
I actually wasn't that great of a college basketball. He was like a top high school recruit, but he wasn't even that great on that. It was the Zion, RJ Barrett. He was the third guy. He wasn't even that great on Duke.
Yeah, he was. I mean, Duke is high level of competition. He played, you know what I mean? He wasn't. I don't think he was the best player. He wasn't all American. It wasn't first team collegiate, but I think that he did well in college. But what has he done thus far in the NBA? And for him to be making those kind of demands in Atlanta, what was the most he averaged a game?
I think I forget the numbers, but whatever. He looked, forgetting all that, he looked pretty good last night. I mean, especially out on the break. I mean, he hit threes. He looked real. He has this. He's super athletic. He does some pretty cool stuff on the court.
Very athletic. It seems like he's got confidence. It seems like he's never seen a shot he doesn't like.
Yeah, he took a couple stupid shots last night also, but he finished 9 for 15. So if you're gonna take some stupid shots and still finish shooting like that,
I'll take that.
Great to me.
I'll sign for 9. I'll sign 9 for 15 every night.
I mean, now I guess I feel like it's fool's gold, and you'll probably never play like this the rest of the season. But I don't know. It's pretty cool how maybe he figured things out. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I just think Cam also needs to just kind of pass more. It seems like, like he literally. I don't think did he like pass once last night.
He had 0 assists, but
He had 0. I mean,
I'm not saying he didn't. He could.
And it just seemed, he was just ready to just light it up. He's like, "This is my year," kind of thing.
To be fair, Cam could have passed the ball to RJ 15 times and had RJ miss every shot. So
yeah, he still would have He still would have had 0 assists.
Hey, so I think actually we're going to take a quick break here for a DraftKings sponsorship. Hang on one sec, Jack. So NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, so tip off the season with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings Stepped Up gameplay parlays. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place a stepped up same-day parlay today. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where to go to bet in the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code NYKP, make any $5 bet this week, and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code NYKP. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. And see show notes for details. And we're back.
That was
impressive.
Jay? That was super impressive.
The regular Jay usually does all the show reads. So my first show read. So you
I loved it. I loved every second.
I hope I sound like a natural.
I'm still holding on. Loved it.
So the Knicks. So some positives from last night.
Right.
Brunson, we mentioned. We just mentioned Cam. What did you? So let's go into Randall. Why did Randall, you think, look so much better?
Randall. No, to me, you know how I feel about Julius Randle. I will say this. I think he didn't pass up as many shots as he did last year. Last year, he seemed like he kind of like his confidence dipped a bit.
Right. Yeah.
Towards the middle end of the season, after the first half of the season, it seemed like his confidence dipped. So he seemed like he was taking the shots when he had them, when they were open. Not every time, actually. I think he did pass up. I remember watching and being like, "Oh man, take the shot." There's nobody near you.
Randall also did a good job. Like he had a couple good. he had 6 assists in the night. He had a couple of good passes where like he just set the guy up.
Yeah, it's nice to see 6 assists. Yeah, look. I mean, if you distribute, it's all about unselfish play for this team. We don't have any, even with Randall, there aren't really any, crazy superstars on the team. My one buddy was texting me, my buddy Lex from Arizona. He was texting me last night. Lex. He was saying, we're not going anywhere because we don't have a superstar. We might get to the playoffs, but since we don't have a superstar, we're not going to go anywhere when we get into the playoffs. But I kind of disagree because it's all about, for us, it's all about distributing and playing defense. This team's built to play defense. We got Mitch Rob. We got some real serious defenders. We got some guys that can steal the ball. The one thing that I was hearing last night from some of the, I think it was during the game, one of the announcers was that we don't really have any 3-point shooters, or not as many as we did. Obviously, we have Foreign, and IQ, who really didn't seem like he did anything last night, by the way.
He be in the negative part of the game. We can get to him. We can get to the bad part in a little bit.
Right. Okay. But yeah,
let's stay positive for a little bit. Yeah.
All right. But the positives, look, you want to still talk about Randall? I mean, look, he played a good game. We need to see some consistency out of him. He needs to be in the middle of between chucking, taking terrible shots at the beginning of the shot clock. Same thing with RJ, chucking the ball when he has no shot. And not having any confidence to shoot. He needs to be somewhere in that sweet spot in the middle where he's in the play. He's involved. It's not just, and again, with Brunson, hopefully more of that'll happen because he's not going to be taking the ball up as much. He's not going to be as tired. I think Randall was exhausted last year. Completely.
I agree. I think he felt like the weight of the world was on him because like the offense, they didn't even have a point guard really. I think the fact that he has a point guard that he can really trust now, because like it's not like
Yes,
I don't
and
think he
Rose.
really trusted Kemba, whereas Brunson, I feel like he's like, this guy's really good. I
Yeah,
will let him. I'll have the ball sometimes, but I'll also let Brunson set me up. They
yeah.
said, did you hear the thing about Randall that the big thing? One of the big things he did in the offseason was study European basketball because he's like the European system. They move the ball much more. I notice it's an issue for me. I want to make sure I'm moving the ball more, and so like he spent a lot of time he's trying to become European Randall.
That's interesting. National Lampoon's European Randall.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, look, that's interesting because that's what I've been thinking. With more distributing, the European game is more passing. It's less, less superstars. It's more even, more shooting. That kind of thing. Fundamentals. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. And that's where I'm thinking this team could be very successful. And you're right. I think he definitely does trust Brunson. Like he's willing to say, okay, like in the past, actually, I think he trusts D Rose too, but D Rose.
There's a thing about like his on the court, off the court, his numbers with Rose and without Rose, and his numbers with Rose are a lot better.
And we didn't have him last year. So look, now we have Rose and we have Brunson. So hopefully, he'll be moving more without the ball as opposed to dribbling in circles with the ball, trying to find guys that won't move for him.
Speaking of other positives, so Hartenstein, looked. I thought he looked really good last night. I was watching with someone else who said like, "Hey, where is this guy from?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's got to be from Europe. And then they pointed out that he was born in like Oregon. And we were like, "Oh."
I was gonna say Queens, but okay.
Yeah, but then I read an article on Hart because Hart is
Oregon.
one of the things like his passing is next level. He is one of the best. I would say it's not like joking, but like he is one of the best passing.
European, right?
Yeah. So like I was like, what the hell? Like it's just like seems like he's like should be a European player. Turns out his dad was a player. He spent most of his he grew up like he was born here, but he spent a lot of his time playing overseas in Europe. He like was raised in Germany and played over there for many years. So he really was raised on the European game, which kind of makes sense when you watch his game.
Wow, so he's an American raised in the European game, now playing American basketball.
So his dad went to play overseas, and so took him there. And then like he had him play there because he thought the game was better for him to play over there.
Interesting. Did he go to college here?
I'm not positive. He must have come to college. I don't know that part actually.
He seems
I'm not the expert.
He's so into the game, and he seems like he's got to like calm down a bit. It seems like he's almost like too exuberant. It seems like his head's like on a swivel, which I mean, obviously you need that, but to a point, But I think he's going to settle in nicely as a real nice player for us.
So he only played in Europe. He never played he never played college ball here.
Never played college ball. Interesting.
Yeah.
He does have that game though, and it looks like he's got a little bit of a handle for a big man.
He does. He's also got a shot. Like he can shoot. In the preseason he hit like 2 threes in a row. He I think like mid range he had one of the best percentages in the NBA last year, even though he didn't shoot a lot of mid range shots. Like he's got a decent shot, and he had in like last night's game there were a couple like push shots where like he was only like
one hander in the lane, that one-handed like little lane floater, right? He has a few of those.
Yeah, and you're watching that, you're like I mean that's not like at his size that shouldn't be a hard shot, but then you're like, why can't Mitch do this? Like if Mitch could add this to his game, he'd be so much better.
Right, that push, that little 8-footer, right there, yeah.
There was one of the points like at the end of the game, it like helped tie the game at that point in the game. Like it was.
Yeah, and actually, Hart also seems good with both hands too. He seems solid both hands, which is interesting because, well, you said you don't want to get negative, but if you want to get negative, we could talk about RJ's right hand. If anybody wants to.
No, I didn't say I don't want to get negative in the show. I wanted to get some of the positives out of the way, but then we can get negative. There's a lot of I think Hart looked awesome. I love his passing. I thought overall he's not quite the rim protector. Maybe I think his defense actually is very solid. I think overall.
You talking about Hart? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he plays really good defense.
Yeah. He's not only is he a big body. He seems like I mean, besides he does like this. He seems a little like he's swinging a little bit too much. I mean, I don't mean in terms of his relationship. I mean his arms, like flailing. But he definitely seems like he could play with anybody. He seems like he could stand up to anybody. And he's not afraid to. He seems like a really tough guy, which is great. I think that's what we need to get back to that. That's like Brunson and Hart. They seem like really kind of like hard-nosed guys, which is nice to see.
Have you seen Hart's girlfriend?
It's funny. I have not, but somebody else said that to me today. That's hilarious.
Oh my God! Can you on your phone while you were talking? Can you Google her and just take a look while we're talking?
Oh, you know who it was? It was Brady. Brady said, I was talking to Brady today. He goes, "Oh, dude, have you seen Hartenstein's girlfriend? She's a smoke show." I was like, "No," and I was actually driving. Otherwise, I probably would have Googled her. But
I feel like you see that and you're like, well, he's already won the title. I mean, he's got her.
If I do that, I think I'm gonna fuck up this.
No, yeah, don't do it. But it's like the Jets have Zach Wilson, and I want him to be a good quarterback. But if you saw his girlfriend at the time he was drafted, I was like, he's got nothing to play for. He's got her already.
Right. Let's see. Hartenstein, NBA girlfriend. Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, she's pretty pretty nice.
Star of Isaiah. Courtney Keller. Keller.
Yes.
All right. Well, there you go. He won. He won the title.
So you want to move on? So Hart. By the way, Hart. Do you think at any point Hart I like the combo of Mitch and Hart. I think it's nice to have the two guys kind of give a little different. Like they don't give the exact same thing as far as what they give on the court. I think it's a nice balance. Do you think Hart at any point will overtake Mitch as a starter?
I think that would take an awful lot, unless, I mean, look, Mitch's main thing, okay, is obviously foul trouble, right?
Yes.
And so I think he's going to get a lot of minutes, but in terms of him starting over Mitch Rob, that would take, I mean, he'd have to be doing some wild things, which, look, nothing's impossible here, I mean, we don't have Taj anymore. I guess if you look at it, those are really our two centers, right? Who
I mean, you have Sims also, who didn't play last night.
Jericho Sims doesn't really. Yeah,
he's clearly the third. He's clearly back up, like breaks the glass in case of an emergency.
Yeah, definitely. And Obi didn't play last night either, so they needed the size. So Hart played a lot, but look, I mean, he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be starting anytime soon. I could be wrong.
I thought it was so. First of all, I like his passing could be interesting with a starting unit. But I thought it was also interesting, so both him and Mitch both had, Hart is also known to have issues with foul trouble. They both ended up having 5 fouls. But it was interesting that Tibbs went with Hart over Robinson. I mean, Hart was playing really well, so he went with the hot hand.
Right, late.
I like the fact that even though people give Tibbs a lot of crap for, setting his starting lineup in stone and just being unwilling to change it, but
right.
He's been good. He was really good last night by just going with the hot hand. He was just Cam Reddish should not be on the court, according to his game plan. But Cam looked awesome, so he's staying in the game. Even drawing up the last play for him in the first at the end of the regulation. It was nice to see Tibbs kind of go with the guys who are playing well. Hart got us to they came back in part because Hart was playing really well, so you just stick with him.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really think of that. Yeah, Mitch Rob didn't really play in that much towards the end when they were winding down. I think they put him in. I think came in overtime. Did he start overtime or was it Hart?
No, Hart started, but Mitch came in briefly in overtime.
He came in midway. Yeah. Definitely true. Nice to see because Tibbs is could be known as a little rigid. People think.
Yeah.
He's.
So going to the negatives or there's a lot of negatives. So Mitch. Just the foul trouble? What's up with Mitch? Why was he so bad last night?
Well, all right. So I was just thinking about what we were just saying about how, I think Hartenstein brings more offense,
Yeah.
To a point. He also seems, obviously, Mitch Rob's probably a better offensive rebounder, but in terms of actual offensive set, it probably goes to Hart. I don't know. Mitch is just, he's got to get comfortable. He had a really good preseason. He's, we'll see. It's one game,
Yeah, I think Adams is just Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think last year Mitch struggled initially because he had a broken foot in the offseason, was just not in game shape on when the season started and was playing catch up. This year, at least in preseason, he looked like he was like in top shape. I think
Bulked up, didn't
Adams.
he? Didn't he bulk
Yeah,
up?
he bulked up last year. I don't know. I think Adams is just a tough matchup. He got in foul trouble. Hart looked pretty good, and I think Tibbs just went with a hotter hand.
Yeah, Adams is probably one of the strongest bigs in the league, and it seemed like he was getting pushed around a little bit, but Mitch Rob. But I think they said, look, you're right. Last year, it took him a while to get into form, into season form. So look, at least he's surpassed that this year. Right?
The biggest negative from last night was RJ Barrett. I think would be hands down the biggest negative.
Right.
What's your comments on RJ?
More of the same. I mean, he can be a high. He could be an all-star. He really could. He has that potential. Again, it seems like he's so much stronger with his left hand than his right, and it's obvious. And everybody in the NBA knows that at this point. He's been in the league 4 years now. He's not fooling anybody with that left hand. And I like to see him. I like to see him pass more. I like to see him have a little bit more, a little bit more confidence in terms of his shot, and not having to throw as many head fakes and just taking the open shot when he has it. But yeah, he's going to make a lot of shots this year. He missed a lot of shots last night. He's going to probably, how many shots did he average last year? I wonder. Field goal FGA last year.
He shot a lot of it. He shot the ball a lot last year. He was one of the least efficient players in the NBA last year.
One of the least efficient, right? So he's going to continue to take as many shots, right? Although now with Brunson, maybe we get some more, some better looks cutting towards the basket, and we have a point guard now that could score, and maybe he won't have to take as many shots. But yeah.
So I have the number for you. He shot 17 shots a game last year.
He averaged 17. Wow.
Yeah, for a shot 40%, which is you want a higher percentage, and he shot 34% from three. It just wasn't like
34%. That's not.
Yeah,
good.
it's like it wasn't terrible. Like if his free throw shooting also was terrible. Like if he got his free throw percentage up a little bit, that would help a lot. I mean, the year before he averaged 14 shots a game and shot 44% and 40% from three, and everyone was through the roof on his shooting.
Right. Yeah, he was terrible from the arc last year. I mean, just
yeah.
And he also, it seems like one thing about RJ is he kind of like seems to shy away from contact a lot. He doesn't really love that. Like he's not like a lane banger. He's more, and so he's always falling away, and he's the free throw. I mean that comes with it. That comes with the whole thing. He's not really. He needs to draw more fouls, and he definitely needs to shoot better from the line, 100%.
I do feel like he's willing to go into contact. I feel like he doesn't. I would have to disagree with I feel like he does like to draw contact, but it's especially if the lane is clogged. If there's like three guys standing under the basket, he'll go right into them. When you have to know when you can go and draw contact and go to the basket, and when there's just not an opening. Yeah, I feel like if there was literally a brick wall, he'd be like, I'm just gonna run to the brick wall, and he'd be like, RJ, it's a brick wall. Don't worry. I'll get the basket.
Yeah, he does that too. I mean, he's sort of out of control at times, and it's sort of both sides of that, I think, because I've definitely seen him do that, but I've also seen him, I've seen him shy away from, like just basic, like one-on-one, like layup contact. But, look, it's his fourth year, right? How many, is it his fifth year?
Fourth year. He just started his fourth year. His first year was cut short because of COVID. So
right. So look, it's his fourth year. This should be a big year for RJ. I'm optimistic, and I think that he's going to have a monster year. I mean, look, he's got a point guard now. He's been in the league. He has another year under his belt. He knows what it's all about now. And he had a great preseason. Look, it's one game. We can't get too crazy yet. Let's see where RJ is after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, RJ's going to have he's still going to have another night like this. Like there's always going to, there's be some nights where he's just off, right. But I think more times than not, he's going to be on. he's going to have a good season. I think it's just going to have like it looks worse when it's your game one is your clunker, but I think he's
Right.
going to have a good year.
Even I mean, and it's all relative too. I mean, even if you look at Randall, look at Randall's season last year. Oh, Randall had a terrible season. I mean, in the scheme of things, his numbers were down from the previous year, but they were. I mean, they weren't that bad. Didn't he average like 20 points a game? And it wasn't like he fell off the face of the earth. He's but obviously his field goal percentage is way down, and whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to be a little more efficient. But yeah, RJ is going to play better. It's also interesting. The Knicks overall they played a pretty good game last night, even though they lost. And RJ was shit. The fact that they can overcome RJ's performance because they had so many other guys that can play now.
Right. What was he from the field last night?
He was 3 for 18.
3 for 18. Yikes. Yeah. If he hits 2 more baskets, they win.
Speaking
2 more baskets, they never go to overtime.
One more basket. Speaking of yikes from the field, Quickly was 0 for 6. Derrick Rose was 2 for 8, and Toppin was 1 for 3. The three of them combined for 3 for 17 from the field.
Quickly, Rose, and Toppin.
Quickly, Rose, and Toppin. Yeah, they did not get much from those guys at all last night.
Nothing.
So Toppin, I felt like my issue. So Toppin, I feel like he's an exciting player on the breakaway. He reminds me a little like a Larry Nance, a guy that can jump out of the ceiling, jump to the ceiling. But I wonder if he's, in some ways, is Toppin a bit of a one-trick pony in the sense that he's awesome on the break, he can dunk, but he can't make it create his own shot. He gets very timid with the ball. He calls for the ball outside the. Brunson will be out behind the 3-point line, and Toppin will call for the ball. He'll get the ball and just give it right back to him because you can't do anything with the ball because he's kind of scared to dribble.
Yeah, he's not a dribbler. He's not a ball handler by any means. Obi Toppin. Unless he's wide open breakaway, no one there. But even then, he's not a ball handler. He likes to shoot from 3. He likes to. He has a decent jumper. I think he should focus more on a mid to mid long range jumper as opposed to 3s.
I agree. His 3 also most of last year he was horrendous from 3. Then he had a good run at the end of the last few weeks of the season. Yeah, the last few weeks of the season he destroyed it. It was just garbage time, and they were just basically handing him the ball, telling him to shoot without any other options really. But when guys start getting and it just became whatever. You can't really look at the last. I mean, it's nice to see that, but I mean, Obi and IQ destroyed the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. They looked amazing, but the Knicks were really playing G League squads the last 2 or 3 weeks. The teams were not trying. And then we get hurt too. We had a few guys. I think we had a couple guys hurt. Randall was refusing to play or something. Yeah. Randall kind of called it quits, basically. He's Randall's this is something. You guys are cheering. I was the greatest thing ever last year. Now you're treating me like crap. I'm done. I just need to be out of here. Yeah, he's I'm just not going to play now. Thanks. Have a nice rest of the year. Yeah. But let's hope he gets that back this year. Let's hope. Yeah, the bench will not be trashed this year. Obi will look better. He just did not look I know you said I don't know why he only played 13 minutes. I felt like those 13 minutes were enough. I didn't want Obi back in the game. I thought it was also very telling when Randall fouls out and Tibbs is yeah, Obi, I know you're the backup. You're not coming in. I'll bring in Fournier because you're not. This is not your night. We're going real small now. Yeah, sorry, guy. Just kind of. I mean, Obi's thing is that he's just so tentative. He's such a tentative player, in the half court set. Right. On the break, he's super confident, but not on the break. He's not at all. He has no confidence because it's the NBA game. The break is much different than the half court set in the NBA. And he does do that. He does call for the ball behind his guards, and it's dude, what are you doing? Get into set a screen, roll, do something. Go post up. You're a big man. You have some moves. Go post up. 5 feet out with the ball. It just doesn't make much sense, but. I agree. Also, if he could shoot 10 to 15 feet and just be a knockdown jump shot, that would be a huge difference than these threes that he's going to be very erratic on. And he probably can do that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we've all seen Obi hit a lot of threes. Why doesn't he just focus more on that 12 footer, that 15, that 12 to 15 footer?
That's what we need from like a la Charles Oakley. You know, any four that, you know, like Draymond. You know, obviously Draymond's different. He shoots threes. He's all over the place. But, you know, look, a four. That's what we need from him. We need a little jumper. We don't need him shooting threes. Although
Marcus Aldridge, like just a
right.
guy like he was money from two anywhere on the court for two.
Yes, step back, exactly. A little confident 2-pointer. That's all we need from him. But he just that's not his game, I guess. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen that, you know.
IQ.
When was the last time you saw Obi do that, you know?
Yeah, no. I wish he'd add some stuff to his game. IQ. What do you think of IQ? IQ, I thought was terrible last night.
I love IQ. I'm a huge IQ fan. I think I'll just preface that with that, but you know, I don't know. He never got into the groove. He just didn't. He just didn't get into the swing. You know, he seemed kind of like, you know, discombobulated, just kind of like out of it. I'm not, you know, I mean, it could just be butterflies. Maybe first game of the season. He's not, you know, used to the set with Brunson. He needs some more time with him. Yeah, I mean, those guys need to practice together more. It just didn't seem like he was there, you know.
I find it still annoying that he jacks up some really dumb shots. Like some of his shots just look like he'll just jack up a three, or like his push shots just look like I feel like IQ should be a good player this year and have a good season, but I think he's gonna have some very frustrating nights like this.
It's funny to say jack up because that's exactly what it looks like. He's got the two-handed push, you know, the two-handed push shot. He hits them sometimes, but you know his best shots are when he's set and he's able to. You know, he missed some wide open shots last night.
Why doesn't he have just like a jump shot? You rarely see him just shoot a jump shot.
Right. I mean, you know, yeah. It's look again, one game. You know, we're destroying the guy. He's played one game so far. So
it's all about overreacting.
It wasn't. It's all about overreacting. I mean, we got to talk about something, right? But look, obviously, it's going to be the IQ is going to have much better games than that for us this year. You know.
I think we're all fairly confident Rose will look better also. Rose wasn't on last night. Fournier sometimes he's going to be on, sometimes he's not going to be on. What did you think of Fournier last night?
Fournier. Oh, man. He's, you know, look, I just want defense out of him. That's all I want. I just don't want to see him let guys blow past them, you know, like the wind. I mean, you know, that's when I think of Fournier, I think of, you know,
his defense is not. It's kind of.
You know, I mean, it's just kind of, yeah.
He's holding up a red flag, a red cape, and playing the Matador thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. Like we got to go. Yeah, we got running the Bulls with Fournier. It's like, dude, what do you know? Sometimes he's odd on the decisions he makes on defense. He gambles, I think, way too much, and he's not fast enough to gamble like that. Like he's not fast enough to make those decisions sometimes. He almost needs help, you know. So I don't know. He goes overboard. I mean, offensively, he's going to hit some shots. You know, he'll hit a lot. I think he made tons of threes last year, right? Although it didn't really seem like it, oddly. I guess maybe that was like the second half of the year when none of us were watching and he was hitting those threes. But
set a Knicks record. Yeah.
Yeah, set a Knicks record. Did it seem like that to you? I mean, no way.
I mean, I don't know. You know what? He shot like 7 threes a game, and he actually shot a pretty good percentage.
He shot like every shot he took was a three, like almost literally.
Yeah, he said also. So he said he's used to being more of a like complete player, and he felt like he was when he got here, he was kind of like being used as a spot up three shooter, which wasn't the role he was used to. And he also felt like he just didn't. He said it just like the learning curve for Tibbs' defense was a little much for him initially. He felt like he was catching on more so on how to play in the offense and the defense later in the season. But
yeah, which is when I stopped watching. Usually 2:30. You know.
So last year he shot 7.7 threes a game and shot just under 39% from three, which is actually a pretty darn good percentage for that many threes.
Yeah, 40%. How many did he shoot? 7 a game? Jesus Christ.
7.7. So
that's
almost
8 threes a game. That's completely crazy.
No, that is pretty crazy.
I had no idea.
Wow. Hey, so we got a couple questions. Worldwide Knicks writes, can Cam, Fournier, Grimes conversation start involving Quickly and Obi as well? If Cam keeps playing like this.
What was it? What was it? Sorry.
Can the Cam, Fournier, Grimes conversation start involving Quickly and Obi as well? If Cam keeps playing like this. I guess maybe he's saying, is Cam going to take quickly in Obi's minutes?
Right. Is he going to be like more in the mix than he's been?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cam had a good game, and like you said, Tibbs went with the hot hand, and we'll see. I mean, I don't think yeah, I don't know.
What we left out also is Grimes was injured for last night, and hopefully his foot's hurting. Should be back pretty soon. But I think Grimes is probably of the young guys, at least between Obi, IQ. Grimes is the better of the three.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he was like Summer League MVP and all that, and he was so hot. Then he got hurt, and then he missed all the preseason. Then he came back, Grimes, at the very end of the season, healthy, and then he got hurt right before opening game. I mean, who knows what his story is, right? I mean, he's hurt, he's not, he's hurt.
So said his foot is sore. I think they're probably being cautious. I mean, realistically, the guy, he's above average to like on his way to being an elite defender. So that makes a huge difference.
Oh, I mean, you put him next to Fournier as a defender, and it's not even. Grimes is an amazing defender, and he's got such great court sense, not only on defense but on offense as well.
I mean, next to Fournier, he looks like Bruce Bowen, but
Bruce Bowen.
to pull out a reference, and he's a pretty good shooter. I think Grimes is going to be a big asset to the team going forward. Next question.
Hope so.
Knicks Youth writes, has RJ taken a step back on defense? I feel like he's going the mellow route, saving his energy for offense.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think he shies away from contact defensively sometimes. Yeah, you see it. You see him letting guys go. You do see that. I don't know if it's anything new though. I think I've sort of always felt like that way about him, but maybe the writer's right, the commenter. I don't know. I don't know.
So 2 years ago when the Knicks were really good, their best defender probably was Bullock. Bullock was the guy that was always he was the guy that always had to cover the best guy on the other team.
I still rock my jersey, by the way.
I like Bullock. So when Bullock was gone, the beginning of last season, Tibbs said, I want to challenge RJ to step up his defense. He's going to be the guy covering the best guy on the other team. And RJ really, he's average defender. He's not stepped up the way. He's not another Bullock's the greatest, but he's not as good as Bullock. And I think with the starting unit, especially if you have
defender, he's a quality. Bullock is one of the best defenders in the NBA.
He's a good defender. So I think the problem is that so one of the issues with starting Fournier is that when you have Fournier out there, RJ has to guard the best guy on the other team. So RJ was guarding a lot of Ja last night. And Ja is also no one can really guard Ja anyway. But I feel like if you have Grimes out there, and no offense to Fournier, but if you have Grimes out there, Grimes has better defensive potential than Barrett. I'd rather put Grimes on the other team's best player and also let RJ save a little energy 100%. By guarding maybe not the best guy on the other team. And maybe that would be helpful to RJ's game also, because you're asking for a lot on him on offense.
Definitively. I mean, that might be why he was 3 for 18. Look at that tough assignment on defense. I mean, he's going up against one of the best guards in the NBA. So, Grimes would have been great in that spot last night to be able to try to lock down Ja. I mean, he probably wouldn't have locked him down, but he probably would have done a little bit better than RJ. Then we squeezed that RJ defensively, and he'd been able to focus on trying to hit some shots and not chuck up like bricks in the back of the rim every time he got the ball in his hands. As soon as he got the ball in his hands, I mean, RJ had a rough game last night. But again, one thing, defense definitely carries into offense, and same thing happens when you don't succeed on defense.
So Ja was 11 for 24 last night, so he didn't he had a great game, but he was also 9 for 11 from the free throw line, which also helped his game. But it's not like Ja hit every shot. But
right. So he shot he almost shot 50%. What did you say his numbers were?
11 for 24. So he shot 45% probably. Actually, that's pretty good. Actually,
great for a guard. And then he's not 11. You said from the free throw line. So he's a monster. Ja.
Paul writes, if Steph, this is a non-Nick question, if Steph Curry wins 2 more rings, is there any conversation where he's better than LeBron? So Golden State is favored this year again. They have a very good team. They have a very good shot at winning the title. At what point does Steph overtake LeBron as an all-time player?
I think only time will tell. It could happen. I mean, it really could. It depends on the next, 3 to 4 years, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if
he might
Steph
get.
he wins 3 out of the next 4 years, I mean, you got that conversation you're having. I mean, you're not having it right now, probably, right?
He's a different kind of player than LeBron.
It's not, I try not to get into that. It's who knows, I mean,
Yeah, I mean they're all great. I don't know if
they're
Steph his
so
game.
different.
Yeah, he's such a different player. I mean, he remade the 3-point shot and like he's the greatest shooter in history in the NBA, no question. But he's a different kind of player than LeBron.
Yeah. It's just Steph also seems like he takes the pressure off of his teammates a lot, and just I guess LeBron does that as well, but just Steph, shooting those, 30-foot threes, one after another, and the rest of the team's just standing around. I guess that could also have an adverse effect on the team too, but who knows? I mean, I just think that Steph is such an amazing talent, and for his size, he's such an anomaly,
Right.
LeBron
I
is a
don't.
huge monster. I mean, and look at his size and his athletic ability coupled with that size. It's tough to compare those guys. To me, I have a hard time comparing those guys.
I mean, Steph is not. It's not a given. He's in the top 10 of all time, but maybe another title or two gets him in the top 10 players of all time. I don't know. That's a whole separate, a whole longer discussion.
I put him in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it sounds great,
Right
but then you have.
right there.
But when you go through the players, there's a lot of really great. It's hard. It's not as easy as it sounds to get him in the top 10.
How many 6 foot tall players have as many championships as him and have taken their team on his shoulders like he has?
He's awesome. Probably, yeah, maybe he's around 10th.
Maybe 0.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a whole other thing. Whatever. Yeah.
So we are almost out of time, but the Knicks are coming up on. They're playing. Their next 3 games are against Detroit, Orlando, and Charlotte. How will the Knicks do in those 3 games, Jay?
Detroit, Orlando, and Charlotte. Well, I mean, I guess you could say the records are. I mean, the schedule is on our side, right?
Those teams are awful. The Knicks should win all 3 games. If they win 2 of the games, I get it. It's hard to win 3 in a row. If they only win 1 of these 3 games, the Knicks should just tank the rest of the season and go for Wembanyama. They should just say, forget it. If we can't win 2 of 3 against these guys, we're done.
After 5 games, we should. Yeah.
We
should. We should revamp the whole lottery so that we definitely get it somehow. Not like to make it more even for everybody, but so we definitely get. No, I mean, I'll take 2 and 2 coming out of.
Yeah. I mean,
if we win 2 out of 3, all right, that would put us 2 and 2, right?
I mean, Detroit has. I mean, they have Cade. They have Jaden Ivory. They got some promising players. The Knicks are better.
We should beat
Orlando's got that guy, the guy they drafted number 1, Bonchero, who had a great opening night.
Did he?
But he had a pretty good opening night. But not otherworldly. But he had a very good line. But the Knicks should beat Orlando, and Charlotte looks like a mess.
Yeah, complete mess. I mean, we should win all 3 of those games. Look, the way we played against, the Grizzlies on the road, we should let's hope we're talking 3-1.
Right. The schedule also, some of the schedule's in your favor. The following 3 games are Milwaukee, Cleveland, Atlanta. Those are tough games. When the schedule presents you 3 doormats, you have to take advantage.
Yeah, that's a tough 3-game stretch. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Is Cleveland going to be as good this year?
They got Donovan Mitchell. They got a good team. Yeah, I mean,
last year I thought it was a bit of a fluke with those guys, but we'll see. Anything's possible. They got our guy. They got the Phantom Nick.
Phantom Nick?
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell, yeah.
Phantom Nick, the Phantom Menace of the Knicks.
So I think overall, this was a good start to the season, even though it's a loss. The Knicks are going to beat the crap out of these next 3 teams, and we're going to be like, if we recorded after Detroit, we'd be on. They'll beat the crap out of Detroit, and we'd be on like all the Knicks fans would be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Look, the first game this season was against Memphis, and it was on the road.
Yeah.
And we
It's a
took
tough
them
game.
to overtime, and we were losing by what, 18 points in the second half?
18 points in the we were down by 18 or 19 points, came back and tied it.
Yeah.
Knicks played
That's
pretty
a
well.
victory.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's not. Obviously, it's not a victory.
They don't count those.
Right into this guy saying this guy Cousin Jay is an effing moron because he said that we won. But
so Cousin Jay, we are about to wrap up.
that's me.
Let me ask you, can you make any bold predictions for the season for the Knicks?
I would make one. Well, actually, kind of like related. I'd say Ja might go MVP this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, kind of related to what we've been talking about. But in terms of the Knicks, let's say playing, or let's say, look, I think we're gonna get there.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be easy, right? It all comes down to the big three: Brunson, Randall, and Barrett. Right? It depends. We'll see how those guys play. If those guys play well, we're definitely gonna get in. That's all.
yeah.
I mean, and I want to see Obi play more than 13 minutes a game. Damn it.
He's got to play more. Yeah, I mean, like the bench was really bad in game one. I think Memphis is a tough matchup. They'll look better going forward.
Right, and look, Hartenstein's great, and I think he has great potential as as a role player, kind of like maybe like seventh guy, but Obi, give me Obi.
Yeah, I think it's center. If you have 25 minutes of Mitch and 20 or like 24, if you just divide the minutes between Robinson and Hart about even, it's going to work out really well with both of them.
You think so? And then, so what are you looking at in terms of the four? You're looking at Randall.
I mean, I don't know how Obi plays. It doesn't like it's far. It's hard. I think Randall.
Robin Obi. Mitch Robin Obi, dude. That's what I.
So this is interesting. I don't want to. We have to do a wrap of the show very soon. But so Memphis, if you look at their numbers last year, they only had one player that played over 30 minutes a game, and it was Ja, obviously. But everyone else was under 30 minutes a game, which meant like the Knicks kind of should model their team after Memphis. Memphis has a very complete team. There's so many guys that can contribute. I mean, last night they had what's his name, Aldama, who played pretty darn well against the Knicks.
Barack Adama. Yeah, as a monster.
Like that. Yeah, he had a great game. But like the Knicks, if they could have a more like their biggest strength is their depth. I think if you reduce Randall's minutes to like 31 minutes a game, 31 minutes a game, I think you're gonna get better Randall. And I think with a lot of these players, I think you get a better version of them if they play a little bit less.
And you can do that as long as Brunson steps up and as long as Mitch Rob doesn't get into too much foul trouble. And, as long as these pieces fall in, you can reduce Randall's minutes. And that's the goal, obviously, You don't want to see like droopy, like bummed out Randall, like refusing to like get onto the court anymore, Nobody
Yeah, exactly. I also want to see Toppin, when Toppin's playing well, Tibbs lets him play more. When Toppin doesn't look good, he doesn't play as much. I feel like if IQ is looking good, he gets greater burn. I thought it was a really good sign that Hart and Cam got so many minutes because they were looking really good.
Yeah, you like Reddish. I mean,
he's cocky.
Yeah, I mean, look, he probably is gonna play more this year than he did last, right? Based on also we lost Burks too, so don't forget, he's gonna get more minutes and although D Rose is back, so we'll see where that fits in. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm really optimistic after that. I walked away watching that game, generally happy, let's say. I mean, we lost the game, but I wasn't ready to, rip my TV off the wall and throw it out the window,
I was pretty down by the beginning of the third quarter, so I got so much better mood with how the Knicks ended up playing the game. So,
exactly. It was a nice swing. It was a nice upswing after being down like that. Totally.
But it'll be nice to see what Cam, and I was not necessarily a Cam believer, but he earned my trust. He earned the Knicks to give him more minutes. We'll see if he keeps earning them.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
So anyway, we got to wrap up. Cousin Jay, thank you for joining. This was an awesome conversation.
Thanks for the fun.
And we'll have you back on soon.
Keep up the good work, and I hope your boy is doing well out there in Thailand, and he's made all the right decisions. Discretion.
Hopefully, he is not in a Thai prison right now. But,
I think I'm gonna have Thai food tomorrow night. In his honor.
It is. Hopefully, he also is not going to a Thai strip club and found out that they're not all women.
Right. Hopefully he has gone to his Thai strip club and found out that they are all women.
I think he's with his significant other, visiting her family. So
Hopefully it's not.
Things have gone really wrong if he's in a Thai strip club right now.
He's in cool.
Okay, we're out. Thank you, Jay, and let's play the goodbye song.
All right, let's.
My love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.